Let's do a sound check real quick and see if it works. Should be live right now. I don't know, the delay is longer this time. It's like 40 seconds almost. And I can hear myself. What's up, everybody? Aloha, welcome back to my channel. If you guys haven't done so already, please don't forget, like, subscribe, hit the bell. You guys know the deal. Anyways, today we're going to talk about Autel Evo 2 Pro. Is it still worth after 2 years buying this? If you can find it, because it's hard to buy one like this right now. Anyways, let's go through the chat real quick and let's say hi. We have Johnny W. We have Matt Bagwell, Hot Rod in Daytona. We have Skyfi Ariel in the house. Hey, Mike Henrik and Lynn Smith. So far, so good. I've been looking through if there's even possibilities of buying an Autel Evo 2 Pro at this time. And while I was looking for it, I was like, it's hard. I looked on the Autel website, which is right here, and that was like for $2,500, but it says right here, email when available. So that's not even available. I went through eBay, Australian dollars, 2,179. So I don't even know if they would ship that to the United States or how that even would work. So they probably have somewhere in Australia still have it. Then we have, of course, from China. China, of course, definitely going to have this. But be careful when you do that because a lot of people already said they paid for it and it took months before it even came. So I would be very careful. Another part is Amazon is currently unavailable, and it's been like that for a while. And batteries itself have never really gone down in price. They've always been around $220 to like $160 to $220. And even on B&H, when I looked on B&H afterwards, and I was going through B&H website, I was looking for that one. It actually shows for the Autel Evo 2 Pro and the 6K, whatever, the 8K, it shows discontinued. So what does that mean? Autel is done making these? So a lot of people already in the groups itself, when I was looking through the groups itself, they're kind of pissy with Autel right now because the reason why is because it had the XPS drone back then, which was good for like 2 years. And then all of a sudden it had like for 3 years. And then on the 4th year, all of a sudden, there were no more batteries available. So as soon as the shortage came up with the chip shortage, and then they had the V1, V2 issue, the Autel Evo 2 Pro was getting on the fire for, oh, what about the batteries? I just posted a video the other day, which had like It was a 16-second video with like 1,500 views in the first 10 hours of a swollen battery. So I had one battery. The battery is actually, unfortunately, it's above a year old, which I didn't know because I looked at my date of my purchase date from the serial number, matched it with my receipt because I bought like 12 of these batteries at some point throughout the 2 years period because I flew this a lot. I have a video coming out with a screenshot that's going to show you I have like over 14,000 flights, almost 18,000 miles with this bird. I had to swap out the two front motors at about, I think it was around 10,000 miles flying because the two front motors sort of like, it sounded like she was bugging out. I just know like take the risk and drop this bird. So I just simply said, hey, screw that. And yeah, so I had to swap out those motors. It was actually pretty easy. Anyways, is it still worth buying 2 years later? If you can find one brand new, probably it's still worth it. Why is it still worth it? Well, first of all, let's look at the statistics itself. This bird is super solid in the air. She does some great footage. She has a 1-inch sensor, and it is literally one of the most used drones in my category. I even sold my Mavic 3 because I didn't like it. Because one other major reason why I sold my Mavic 3 was because I couldn't take off 3 times when I had jobs to do. And I was actually outside of the 5-mile radius from the airport. So, but it's still, the app was not, I mean, it was borderline, but it still told me like, oh, you got to inquire for permission. And I couldn't inquire for the permission. So lucky thing, I always bring my Autel Evo 2 Pro, and lucky thing I had it. Anyways, let's go through the chat. Wow, no production? What do you mean, no production? Yeah, no production. I mean, there is no, it says discontinued. On B&H, it says it's discontinued. So in my eyes, that shows me if B&H doesn't even get it, that Autel might have said, hey, we don't even make these anymore. We are focusing on the Nano Plus, the Light Plus, and maybe even the Evo 3 to drop that one because they're getting heavier and heavier into the market. So there might be no production ads whatsoever for the Autel Evo 2 Pro anymore. Remember last spring when they had a big sale of around $500 off? Yes, I remember that. Saving $1 for Evo 3 and a new computer. That sounds really good. I mean, that is, a new computer is always good because you need it for processing power for it. I mean, you got to remember now, this films in like 5.4K or 6K, how they call it, and that's huge files and that's big files. So if you need a powerful graphic card, and bro, graphic cards right now are like what? They're starting at like 1,600 for like the RTX series, and like the RTX 3090 was at some point like $3,000. Crypto mining. The 2 was the first big dollar drone I wanted. Yes, it was mine's as well. Now, I see a lot of used ones online. Be careful with that. A friend of mine just picked one up. It was a week ago. He picked up one. The pictures and everything look great. He bought it on eBay, and he bought it for like $1,500. It was the rugged bundle. It came with 3 batteries. Upon arrival, everything looked fine until he tried to push the battery in, and that's when he told me, it's like, oh, the battery does not want to fit. We found out afterwards that actually the inside of his drone, inside here, that drone might have crashed somehow into the side because the inside frame was cracked, like inside there, which looked like it was pushed inwards because on the outside, we could see on this side right here, we could see a crack that was leading down. So this drone fell, I mean, not this drone, but his drone fell down. And yeah, so he couldn't slide the battery in without breaking the housing. So we actually took it apart, and I actually took the piece out that was like bent inwards somehow, and we slid in the battery and we started it up, and it had some issues somewhat with the gimbal calibration. She didn't want to do it really. And yeah, be careful when you buy used because people like to rip people off. What's up, Ed Lloyd? And what's up, Ricardo? How you guys doing? Adorama has them in stock. Okay, so Adorama is the place to go. Let's go on Adorama real quick. Let's check it out. Adorama. I barely go on Adorama. I don't even know why. I think it's because they barely ship to Hawaii. That's why. That's the bad part. So Adorama, let me share the screen. Boom, right there. Share. And let's put Autel Evo. Oops. Evo 2 Pro 6K. Let's see, Adorama. Boom, they got $2,500 for the 6K rugged bundle right there. And it looks like they have it in stock. So if you wanted one for $2,500, in comparison to, now we got to look at competition. Who's the competition? The competition at this point right here is the Autel Evo Lite Plus. That's the competitor, which runs for roughly $1,800. So that's $700 less. And the $700 less, what do you get for it in comparison to the Autel Evo 2 Pro over the Lite Plus? Is the 2K or is the 6K still valuable? Is the $700 really worth the upgrade for what you're getting? And I would say, in my eyes, if you can't afford it, yes. Why? Because a lot of people look at color-wise, color grading, color whatever. You getting with the Autel Evo 2 Pro at this time of this live stream, you're getting 10-bit and log. Besides that, you have a little bit more sturdier power base. Like the drone is bigger, she's heavier. Yes, you're getting less flight time because the flight time on this Lite Plus is crazy how long you can fly with it. I think it's even more than a Mavic 3 because the Mavic 3, it felt like she was like forever in the air, while the Lite Plus, it felt like she was even more long up in the air. She preserves the energy usage somehow so good, even in super windy weathers, and I really like it. Video quality wise, great. Hyperlapse wise, this Lite Plus sucks. It's totally rubbish. It's you can't use it at this point. It has to do with the reference point somehow, where the gimbal wants to lock on certain parts on the image, while the hyperlapse on the Autel Evo 2 Pro is way more solid, way more sturdy. The drone is way more solid in the air. Besides that, what else do you get that is over it? Well, size-wise, I'd say, like I said, you get the 10-bit and you get the log, and you get the stability, and the hyperlapse is not broken on this one. She does have in low light hyperlapse some issues sometimes that she like to wear off with the gimbal, but for some reason they all do it. And I believe it has to do with reference points on any of these. The drones itself, the way they do their adjustment in the air to stay stable, to do whatever they have to do, those things all play a role in that whole hyperlapse programming. So I'm not quite sure how drone manufacturers are doing it right now because I'm not a programmer for that. So I wouldn't really know, you know what I mean? So let's see. Maddie's Drummer, what's up, my man? How you doing? Aloha. And then Ricardo says 10-bit on 4K 30 though. Air 2S all around 10-bit. Food for thought. Yeah, you have as the alternative the Air 2S. And Air 2S price-wise is what? $1,800, $1,900 in comparison to the Autel Evo 2 Pro, which we just seen on the screen for the sharing. Just one more time right here for those who tuned in late. $2,500 on Adorama right now for the rugged bundle. So that is a big difference in price, guys. That is a huge difference in price. That is $900. You can buy a Nano Plus for that, or you can buy a Mini 2 for that, or maybe even the new Mini 3 coming out that is currently on the market that everybody is like super stoked about. So yeah, that's a food for thought. The only part is if you hate geofencing, if you don't want any of the geofencing part and it's really annoying, then yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So, birthday boy, Maddie's Drone World, is it your birthday? Maddie Bagwell just said that Maddie's Drone World, it's his birthday. Hey, Bags, thanks, man. Happy birthday, Maddie's Drone World. For that one, Maddie's Drone World, I have stickers coming in with my new logo. I want you to send me an email to my email, 808state@life.com. Let me type it into the chat real quick. Send me your address, my friend, and I will send you some stickers as soon as they come in, okay? Happy birthday. So we have Mikey. I love my Evo 2 Pro. Still use my Evo 1. Just don't like the controller. The controller itself, like I said, I know I keep saying it. If you have a Skyfire area mount with the controller, you will not regret it. I'm telling you that. You will not regret it. I have, like I said, if it wouldn't be for reviews or anything, I never take this off because of the button bumpers, because of this. It just makes the controller feel so much more better. Accessory wise, of course, we have a lot of accessories available for the Autel Evo 2 Pro at this time over the Autel Evo Lite Plus. But the Evo Lite Plus comes pretty much already set with everything that you need. It comes with ND filters, which in the Autel Evo 2 Pro series you would have to buy. That's some extra stuff. That's food for thought as well. That is extra money they have to spend. So the filters run another $100. Then you have the Skyfire area for your mounting kit for your controller. So you're gonna end up in the end game spending almost $2,800, $2,900. You know what I mean? As a current market value. So is it still worth buying brand new? Maybe this stream should have said, no, probably not brand new. If you can find a good used version, then I probably would jump on it, to be honest. Because, like I said, you got to look into the alternatives. Always look into alternatives with your drones and what is your budget and what you're actually going to use it for. Because looking at the Lite Plus or the Air 2S, if you like the color science of DJI, the Air 2S might be the thing to go. If you don't want any geofencing, the Lite Plus might be the thing to go. And if you simply say, hey, 10-bit color, hyperlapse, and all that stuff, the stability-wise, all that stuff is what I need, then you should go with the Autel Evo 2 Pro, definitely. If you can find one. So what else? Evo 2 Enterprise on Amazon with smart controller for $3,750. Guys, we throwing around numbers over here that I have to work a lot of overtime for. Just saying, you know what I mean? I'm just saying it. It's like, what's up, Josh Spike? How you doing? Alles Gute nach Deutschland. So Matt Bagwell said it's Maddie's birthday. Yes, Air 2S over E2P in my opinion. If the Air 2S was out when the E2P dropped, I wouldn't have bought the Evo 2. That's personal opinion. Like I said, the Air 2S is not a bad drone. Totally not. For my purposes, though, it didn't work out for me because the problem is the geofencing. I live in Hawaii, and we have a lot of people that live in Washington, and there's a lot of no-fly zones and things where you have to inquire permission. Sometimes you just don't want to. Be honest. Sometimes you just don't want to go through that whole freaking, let's go get permission. And it takes forever, and your client is waiting. It's like, what are we doing here? You know, what are we waiting for? And for me personally, time is money. I don't have money, so I don't have no freaking time. So I need to get that bird up in the air, do my footage, get the hell out of there, do my editing, send it to the client, get paid, and move on to the next one already. You know what I mean? I can't wait for DJI saying, yeah, we're going to allow you to fly maybe tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't want to. You don't want any of that. That is, it's totally, it's horrible. That stuff is horrible, you know? Anyways, Maddie's are going at it. What's up, Interactive DNA? How you doing, my man? If you guys haven't checked out his channel, you guys got to check out this guy's channel. He get like all kind of cool stuff of making intros and doing that whole animation stuff. It's really interesting. I think the Autel Lite and the Nano Plus is all you need for all kind of productions. Yeah and yeah, no. Like I know a lot of people that do a lot of very good color grading. I'm not one of them. I totally suck in color grading. I hopefully one of these days I'm gonna get into it. I'm not a big color kind of science kind of guy. I just look with what I shoot. This is what I want, you know. And my Autel Evo 2 Pro 6K so far has delivered for 18,000 miles already. How many thousands of hours and how many hundreds and thousands of terabyte I filled up with this drone. It's crazy. It's really crazy. It's like there's like a lot. Neither does my M2P as well. No geofencing. Okay, so but that you have to send it in to somebody who's gonna unlock it for you, and then you gotta look at the legal standpoint too. Is that legal? Is that allowed? What happens if? You know, you're always going to look at the ifs. Yeah, you can have the Mavic 2 Pro unlocked. And probably sometime down the road, the Mavic 3, you're going to be able to unlock too. Like, it's all software related. You know what I mean? So, 3,750 is salty, bro. Yeah, that is a lot of freaking money, guys. That is a lot of money. I believe the same filters fit the Evo 2 Pro and the Lite Plus. Yes, that is correct. That is totally correct. These ones are the ones that Freevo sent me. These ones are the ND filters for the Lite Plus that fit for the Autel Evo 2 Pro. Like, it's the same housing, the same casing. The cameras on these two is the same casing, so they have the same thread. So they fit. So if you have already filters, or if you have a Lite Plus, or if you have a Evo 2 Pro, and oops, what did I just click? Are you guys still there? So yeah, so they fit, they interchange, and so do the propellers. The propeller mounting part is the same, even though the motor on the Lite Plus is half the size of the Autel Evo 2 Pro, which probably shows why there's a weakness in the stability wise. I'm not sure if they saved some money in making it lighter and smaller. And I like the motors of this sucker better because I mean, yeah, it's louder, but I don't care because I have license and all that stuff. And so if I'm flying around and somebody come up to me, if there's a Karen or if there's a Kevin that wants to come up to me and tell me something about flying, I usually never break the law when I fly. I always visual line of sight. You know, I'm always in the right somehow. Somebody come walking up to me, now you're gonna face off against a 400-pound 6'1" dude that is gonna look at you like, what did you just say? You know, like Karens and stuff. I know how to articulate myself usually with people too. So if they come in, hi, how you doing? You know, I'm nice at first, but if she like yell at me and she's like, I'm gonna call the police. Well, then please do so, ma'am. Please call the police. So first thing I did with my Mavic 2 Pro and Air 2S was get rid of geozones. No problems. That might be for you, but some other people still have the issues that they can't. I love my Evo 2 Pro. Was new at $1,300 a year ago. I know, right? And that was when it had that huge sale going on, and everybody was like hyping, and it was like, oh, I think they're gonna bring out the Evo 3. No, that was like way too early because it was only like a year old. Because you gotta remember now, there was a delay. COVID just kicked off at that time when they was bringing out the Autel Evo 2 Pro. It was announced to be released by the end of February, wasn't shipped until the end of May. You know what I mean? So there was like a 2.5 month delay because COVID kicked off and nobody really knew what the hell was going on. The kids were still staying at home and nobody knew, oh my God, what are we going to do with all these shutdowns and the closures? So Autel Evo 2 Pro kind of fell into the dunking water at that time. And then it was out for a year and it kind of like went, ooh, like really down. So yeah, they suffered a lot. The thing is knowing how to film. Always film with a gray card. Same time, and you always get the right colors. One color correction before grading any colors. People make this huge mistake. If you guys don't know what a gray card is, it's like a color card that has multiple. It's a card that you put in front of the drone or any camera, for matter of fact. You put it up. Where's mine? I don't know. I just was filming something. I think it's somewhere out there. Anyways, but so yeah, so if you have a color card, you can put it in front of the camera, and then with that you're going to be able to determine what your white balance wants to be. You know, you can adjust your picture prior to even taking off, and then usually if the colors match with what you are looking at based on the screen, that's when you get the best shots. Unless you film, like I said, in log, then it's totally different because then you gotta throw on a lot and you gotta determine that, and you gotta run all these extra things you gotta do in order for get the one thing out to get the colors right. Autel Evo 2 Pro 6K so far has always delivered in my eyes. The only thing that I had to change was because I had my standard color profile. I never I never played around with the color profile. What I played around with was usually with the ND filters, create a good balance between the aperture and the shutter speed, matching the FPS that I'm using so that the shutter speed is always twice the amount of my FPS. And the biggest effect that you have while filming with your drone is usually the white balance. A lot of people don't pay attention to that. When your white balance is too high, the picture comes too reddish. If it's too cold, it comes too bluish. So you got to make sure that the white balance is always at the right part, sort of. So you don't really want it in auto because then the color's going to jump, especially on the 6K. They jump a lot. So with light influence and all that stuff, so you always want to have like a healthy part in there where you know sort of throughout the day what type of white balance you want. My average is 50 to 600 that I usually film with this. It varies between 54 and 56. Never really goes anywhere beyond that. During sunrise, so I don't have blown out reddish parts and everything else turns red. I try to stay below the 52s, 51s, all the way down to 46s because it's lower light quality, and then the reddish part from the sunrise, I don't really want to catch that too much because then it feels blown out. I mean, you guys see my footage. My footage looks pretty decent. You know what I mean? It's pretty good. And white balance is one of the biggest things that you have to look at. You know what I mean? So pre-COVID chipset made with real silicon. I'm lost. Can you tell? Anyways, probably pre-COVID chipset. Well, the chipset part was another thing that was a big turnoff for a lot of people to go for the Autel Evo 2 Pro. Was like a year through when they just wanted to bring out another load of Autel Evo 2s. All of a sudden, they said, "Oh, there's a V1 and a V2." It's the same type of drone, but a different chipset. So now, with the difference between the V1 and the V2 was now that you had the possibility of having dual band. So the first one was 2.4 gigahertz, and then you had never had the V1 was only 2.4 gigahertz. While now with the V2, you had the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 point, was it 5.6? Forget already. But the dual band, so you had the transmission rating on both, and that was the only difference. And of course, compatibility. The controller didn't match with the V1, V2, all that stuff, but that all was because of the chipset. So, and that was COVID. They said they blamed it on that. So they never ordered enough of that, or they never had enough of that. I have no idea how the industry works with that, but we had at that very same time the same thing with cars and trucks was short. We had all these other shortages. There's always some shortage in order to make money somehow off of people. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, look at right now with the gas price and everything. It's crazy. Once the gas price go up, now electric bill goes up and everything else goes up because everything costs gas. Damn. So I pay on top of the gas, I pay my food, I pay my never mind. We don't even go into that right now. Anyways. Mid-State Rustic says, still waiting on my V1 smart controller. Been just over a year since I ordered it. Holy moly, where did you order that? Was guaranteed that I was getting one, but have yet to see it. Brah. I think 3 months is the max for me for that. If I would have ordered it and I would have said, "Hey, I want this smart controller for the V1." You're gonna hold me out for 3 months, give me back my money, please. You know what I mean? And then I would have probably sold the V1 and I would have probably bought something else, or maybe a V2, and then go with the smart controller. I don't think I hate to say it, bro. I don't think you're gonna get to see this. You know, that's a whole year. You're the most patient dude I've ever seen. I think I would not be. No, hell no. Greetings. Is the Evo 2 8K good enough for professional work? Yes, it is. It's totally good enough for that. But so is the Air 2S, and so is the Lite Plus. It depends on what you determine as professional. There is a different bracket in between professional work. You have what, a Paradanofi, and you have a Mini that films in 4K. It depends on what your client wants and how professional your client wants to work. So now, if you want some super professional work, then the Autel Evo 2 Pro or 6K or 8K is not even going to cut it, because they're going to look at log, they're going to look at color signs, they're going to look at a lot of things, flying and looking at it at the same time. They're going to look at a lot of things that they need for their purpose, depending on the professional grade. You can get professional footage for a client for real estate with a Mini 2. Just like that. It's professional because you just did money. You made money off of this. Now, if you want to do a professional production for like Netflix and stuff, that Autel Evo 2 is not going to cut it, depending on what is professional work. So that's what you got to look at. What is professional work? You know what I mean? John Harker said, "Great channel. Have a great day." You too, my friend. You too. You take it easy. So it's been 2 years, and the drone has held up its part of the bargain. It pays for itself. It paid for itself in my case because I'm licensed and I got to do a lot of gigs with the drone. And that's the thing about it. It's like, is it worth that you're going to be able to get the money out? Drone works like these days. Like when you do drone stuff, you gotta look into if you want to invest that amount of money. That drone was expensive as hell to me personally. I don't make a fortune. I live in Hawaii. A gallon of milk here costs $9. Okay, I have 4 kids. I have a wife. I have a house. I'm married, and I have a full-time job. Okay, so is it gonna work out that way? You have to look into if the drone is gonna pay itself off. Now, if the drone is gonna pay itself off, hey, why? By all means, go for it. If you have gigs on a regular and you just want to increase your production value and you want to increase the quality of your video, you can go with a Light Plus, you can go with an Air 2S, you can go depending on what you have. Now the question is, whenever you want to purchase something, if you just want to fly around in a park, by all means, pick up a used Mini One. If you just want to fly around with that and take 2.7K video with that and throw it onto your laptop, because that's probably the only thing that your laptop is going to be able to process. Okay. You always got to look into what you really want to going to use it for. I was going to use it as an upgrade from my Paradigm Alpha, which is a 4K drone, but the sensor was tiny, so the picture quality was not as great. For me, that was a huge upgrade. It was like driving a VW Polo and I jumped into a Bugatti and I flew this drone and I looked at the footage side by side next to the Paradigm Alpha and I'm like, holy bro, like the detail in comparison to a smaller sensor, it's insane. And that was one of the reasons why I was so disappointed about the Mavic 3, because the detail was just not given based on it was such a nice big sensor, but it has to do with the chipset that they've been used. So they went cheapo out on that, and the picture quality didn't come across good for me, knowing how much picture quality you can get out of these in detail wise when I punch in, when I zoom in, when I do whatever. So now you got to look into what you're going to use it for and what are your professional type of work you're going to do, What else do we have? SW Video says, corporate and some advertising work can be done with the E2P. Probably need to step up the Inspire class with changeable lens for more pro work. And that is exactly true. And I just seen one on eBay, an Inspire 2 with two lenses that I think was the 16 mil and the 35 mil for $7,250. So that is a lot of wood, man. Just you got to make sure that whatever you get lined up and you pick that up, that you first familiarize yourself with the drone, and also that you're going to get the job and that it pays for that drone. Because for me personally, I cannot see myself ditching out 10 grand for a drone when I have a gig that is going to give me only 5 grand in money, and then I might not use it ever again. Catch my point? Like with this, I knew I was going to do real estate work, and I knew I was going to do all these other gigs to compensate to make up to $2,400 and then some. As long as your investment, these drones nowadays are prosumer drones. They are not only made for YouTube videos. They're not only made for just film your family on a vacation or when you go on vacation to catch some beautiful footage that you can post on YouTube. You're not making any money off of YouTube. Don't spend $2,500 on a drone just to post it on YouTube, man. Pick up one freaking Mavic Mini 2 combo, fly mode combo that is tiny, that is not going to disturb nobody on your vacation, is going to be portable, not going to take up a huge amount of space in your carry-on bag, and film it with that. It's still freaking, it's going to be awesome. You know what I mean? And plus, it's not going to hurt if you freaking crash it somewhere. The AUTEL Evo 2 Pro, on the other hand, after 2 years of using it, it was totally worth the buy. It paid for itself. Is it still worth buying it right now? Only if you get a good deal for a good quality, good condition type of drone. I would not pick this up right now brand new, as we've seen it on Adorama, which was for $2,500. I don't think I would spend that amount of money right now for that because of the alternatives that are out there. You have a lot of good alternatives out there right now. You have the Light Plus out there right now, which only has 8-bit at this time, but we are hoping with a firmware upgrade that they're going to throw in hopefully 10-bit. Who knows? You know what I mean? How often are used E2s and E2Ps available? eBay maybe. When you go onto the official Autel website, you go to like the Facebook groups, I see a lot of guys selling theirs there. But be careful. Don't just go with the Facebook Marketplace or whatever. Make sure you communicate with that person. Have him send you a video with his phone, whatever. We all have good phones these days. You know what I mean? Don't just jump head over heels into a deal. We say, oh, $1,700 for this. You get 4 batteries and stuff. Yeah, dude, it's $1,700 of my hard-earned money. Go make a video, send it to me on my email. You know what I mean? And then don't just wire him money. No, it's going to be PayPal, dude, because by the time I pay you, you send it out, you give me a tracking number. After 3 days, he didn't send me a tracking number of this freaking item. I want to retract my money. I want to file a dispute with freaking PayPal because you didn't do that stuff. So you make sure that you have all these email contacts, that you follow through with it. I see a lot of guys getting ripped off of freaking Facebook, guys. So there are a lot of times I see E2s coming out, E2 Pros coming out, and they was like, oh, I'm not using it. Oh, I don't want to use it. So it's pretty much on your own, unless you go like eBay. eBay has seen a couple used ones for like 1650, 1550, all that stuff. But then you got to look for the returnable part, you know. So be careful when you buy that. It's, after all, it's electronics, you know. Too bad the Evolve 2 didn't really take off in sales. I thought it had potential. Yeah, it did. It did have potential, but it wasn't. I only can judge it based on videos like you guys, and I haven't seen anything good really on reviews. And I don't think they did big on the marketing part, like advertisement wise. I don't think that they used a lot of YouTube influencers as much as, for example, DJI does. They have their certain set with people that have 500,000 subscribers or million subscribers that are huge drone channels, and DJI just flux it out. The smartest thing that DJI always does is, prior to a release, you watch it. Usually 6 weeks before the YouTubers drop their influential videos, there's a hype going around with leaked pictures. That is the freest advertisement ever, and it's the biggest hype they can. Now it's manifested in the people's head. Oh, they're gonna bring out a Mini 3. OMG! I have to sell all my other drones so I can get ready for the Mini 3. What did DJI pay for that for advertisement? Nothing, but it's stuck in your head, guys. Be careful. It's a marketing thing. It's like, for me, I can't buy every single freaking drone because I just don't have the money for it. So I buy what I think is right for me, and I sell whatever I don't use anymore. You know what I mean? So seems like most drone footage is B-roll in most TV shows and movies from what I've seen. Yes, that's correct. A lot of footage from drones is B-roll, and that is simply because there's no. I mean, how are you going to create A-roll? You know, I tried to make a mini movie and it failed miserably because I had a whole setup with my drone that I was walking around with the drone. I did everything. I invested so much time into that, and then it turned out afterwards that I was missing certain audio files because I was recording it externally. You don't have no audio recording, so you got to match it up with that. So with the drone itself, because there's also the noise of the drone being close to you, it's counterproductive because you're gonna only have B-roll with it that has no sound. You know, you can play in your own sound effects of waves, of crickets, of landscape, of ambience, whatever. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So 2095, same bundle on B&H. Adorama is high sometimes. Okay. Yeah, but when I looked earlier on B&H, the bundle itself said when it's available, email me. So unless that's a refurbished one, I don't know. I mean, I might have looked the wrong way too. You know what I mean? I ain't perfect. No point in spending big until September 2022, and all drones have to be remote ID. Until then, I wouldn't spend a sort of money with no guarantees. That is another thing right now, is remote ID. Remote ID coming out right now. Is it that time already? Oh yeah, it's been that time already. So remote ID is going to touch ground pretty soon, which is going to be another part where you have to look into, does my drone have remote ID? Is there a device compatible with it? All that stuff. So remote ID is going to screw up a lot of things for a lot of people. So we got to be careful on that too. Sorry, I'm new in the chat. How much is the Evo 2 Pro 6K combo in your country? In the United States at this time, it varies between $2,200 and $2,500, my friend. That is pretty much what you're looking at right now. I think you have a good point, Hot Rod. Yes, he does. Hot Rod is smart. It's a smart man. Skyfire, I just checked B&H, and you're right. They do have it in stock for that lower price. Cool. Right there, guys. Right there. Oh, he posted the link too. All right, there's the link, guys. So if you guys want to bring out one, it's for $20.75. Right there. It says in stock. So I don't know. Josh says 6K was a nice drone, but I sold it because our rules in EU Germany. My next drone must be a certified one. Till there, I see a lot of guys complaining in the United States. I have some friends in Germany, and their restrictions are ridiculously stupid in comparison to the United States one. What ours one is like, visual line of sight, 400 above ground. You know, don't fly over people if you don't have a license, blah, blah, blah. All those things. And when you look in Germany, the drone has to be certified. The drone has to be a certain type of drone, so you're going to be able to fly it, guys. You know? So that's why Autel Evo 2 Pro, like in Sweden and in Denmark and Finland, I've seen some people, they flew it there. There was one guy in the beginning when this drone first came out, had the 8K, and his one had a flyaway sort of like into a building. So Autel actually bought him or replaced that one. because he actually ended up crying on the video too, and I felt for him because there was a lot of money that he invests, you know. So, but yeah, there's some countries in the world that restrict drone flying tremendously, and there's some others they don't give a crap about what you do with the damn thing. You know what I mean? Philip McLean, what's up, my man? How you doing? Aloha. So SW said that sea label cert is a pain, but it is what it is. Right? It is what it is. Well, like I said, to get back to the whole thing, is it worth buying the Autel Evo 2 Pro at this time, 2 years in? If it's used and if it's for a good price, new, yes, it's still worth it because the power that it delivers and the issues that were kinked out already with the firmware updates. The firmware that is there currently is a 2.735 for the V1, I think, and the I forget already what the V2 was, but their newest firmware is a very solid firmware. It has a lot of automated modes. It has the mission modes. It has the hyperlapse. It has some quick shots inside there. It has a lot of cool things that I barely use because I do a lot of manual flying. I utilize most of hyperlapse, but I do a lot of manual flying. And like I said, I flew with mines on right now over 14,000 flights, 18,000 miles. Replaced the motors, the two front motors after 10K. So probably the two rear motors I got to replace one of these days. But it's definitely worth it. This drone can handle a lot, and there's a lot of wind stability in there. There's a lot of power that comes with it. The camera itself is still very powerful, and for the amount of money given to you, you still have 10-bit log and a stable hyperlapse, which you don't get with any other drone right now, and it's below the price of the Mavic 3. It's that simple. Unless you buy the Mavic 3 combo right now is $3,000, while the Mavic 3 standard I think is like around $2,500, but that's just standard. So you only get one battery within the controller, and that's it. You know, well with the Flymo combo, you get the 3 batteries, you get the bag, you get the ND filters and stuff. So that's for $3,000. The Autel Evo 2 Pro right now, as you've seen it on B&H right over there, you got that stuff inside there. It's $2,075 as Skyfire Aerial pumped it out, and on was it B&H? Yeah, I think he said B&H. So you can buy it in there, plus the filters, plus whatever else add-ons that you want to pick up. You're going to end up spending about $2,300 for the Autel Evo 2 Pro 6K, which is a freaking good drone. It's a really, really, really freaking good drone. I really like it. I totally dig it. I used it a lot. I'm still using it a lot. My batteries are start charging right now. That is like kind of prop too, because I usually use the aftermarket charger, but it's in the car right now. So 2.7.35 still has the bugs in panel and a few other things, but it works well. I don't use the panel much because I barely take pictures, so you got to take his word for it. But Hot Rod is pretty on it. He does a lot of flying too. Jose Luna, I returned my Evo Lite because of broken time lapse, but the Evo 2 Pro is not very good at time lapse either. The gimbal shifts position almost every time. Not in mine. Like I said, I only have that during nighttime, or low light. When there's very low light, then she does that whole tilting off. Other than that, this drone is solid in hyperlapse during daytime, and okay, Jose, when you next time you do a hyperlapse with your Evo 2 Pro, point it at a static object. Not on a horizon line, not on any of the clouds, pointed at a static object. And I guarantee you it's going to get better, because that's how I figured out mine's on, where she was following the clouds all the time. And I was like, what are you following? Until I pointed the center mark somewhere else that was a static object, and she stopped doing it at all altogether. And I'm pumping out some really, really, really solid freaking time lapses, hyperlapses with this drone. The Light Plus at this time is total rubbish. The hyperlapse don't work at all. It's horrible. It's total rubbish. What's up, Peter Guava? Aloha to Costa Rica, my man. Then we have Detrito Geo. I've always been interested in photogrammetry, drone mapping, and 3D reconstructions. Additional income stream. And right now, only the Evo 2 series can do flight missions for Autel offerings. Yes, and there's some really, really good stuff with it that does the whole mission part with the Autel Evo 2 Pro. I've seen some guys, a couple of my friends bought it because of that. And their drone paid itself after 3 jobs, like full on. Like they made already $1,000 afterwards just for the mapping. That's crazy. I said, I'm doing something wrong, guys, but I'm just not interested in mapping. So Nano and light can't do waypoints. I understand. Yeah, they cannot, not at this time. Hopefully the firmware upgrade is going to introduce that someday. Who knows? But as I told many people, they have the Evo 3 coming out pretty soon. They still have the Evo 2 Pro on the market. Why pump all the good stuff into this Light Plus if you're going to wipe out another, you know what I mean? Like, it's counterproductive for them right now. Everybody waiting for the Evo 2, Evo 3 too. So the Evo 2 Pro time lapse worked great on a night flight I did. That's good for you. Like I said, I have it sometimes when when I'm sitting still and I'm looking at the sunset and get the sun sets behind the mountain. Sometimes she just wants to wear off. She wants to dip off a couple times on some of the shots. So that's why I usually make it that I move her forward going like half a mile per hour. And then while at the end of the 10-second video, she's usually like 1,600 feet away only. And so that's usually a pretty good distance for me to still keep an eye on her. The fix for hyperlapse is to lock it in moving at 2 miles per hour that, or bump the stick every 2 seconds to keep the horizon level. You can do that on the Autel Evo 2 Pro. I used to do that before. Nowadays, it's just simply I lock it into going forward, like I said earlier. So, Jose Luna, okay, good to know. Thanks, that makes sense. I always pointed it at the clouds. Yeah, so try not to point it at the clouds. Try point it at a static object, and hopefully it works for you because it worked for me. What's up, Arizona drone dude? How you doing, my man? Perhaps the Autel AI. I don't know. Who knows? Then Garris, I first bought the Mavic 2 Air. I wanted to see wildfires coming towards my shop in Northern California because of the geofencing. I couldn't. Returned it the next day and bought an Evo 2 Pro. You know why, my friend, right? It's a wildfire, so you're gonna have firefighters fly around with the helicopters and planes and stuff. You're not supposed to be taking off. That is actually a good thing why the Mavic 3 is there, because of that zoom camera they have. You can stay away a lot, far away out of certain areas, and you still can zoom in and it looks like you're there. Up to the Times 7, that camera is enormously good. Like, I think I enjoyed that the most on the Mavic 3. It was the zoom camera on that one. The zoom on this Autel Evo 2 Pro sucks. Like, once you go past Times 4, it comes so pixelated because it's just an optical zoom that it's horrible. Like, they implemented the Times 16. I did a Times 16 to make a close-up shot of the Mavic 3. I ended up never using the shot because it's so grainy and it looks pretty cool because it's like so close, but I'm actually further away. And I'm like making sort of like, that the whole parallax shot where in the background moves. I'm moving only like tiny like this, but the background moves like so fast. It looks like I'm flying past it. Like, it's crazy. Like, I don't know. I'm getting excited for nothing over here. I have a 30-acre property in the Redwoods, and I just wanted to look over the tree. Oh, okay, got it. And I couldn't even do that. It's DJI for you, my man. As soon as they implement, I don't know, during wildfires, do they actually automatically put a no-flight zone inside there? Is that what it is? Is that, I don't know. Hey, what's up, Kai? How you doing, my man? Aloha. So yeah, Autel Evo 2 Pro in my eyes still definitely worth the money if you can buy a good used one, or if you find a good deal like we showed earlier with Skyfire Area, where they found it with the 2075 for brand new from B&H. So if you can look it up from B&H or Adorama, where it goes for a $2,000 price brand new for like a rugged bundle or whatever, hey, by all means, go for it. That's definitely worth it because you have like I said, it has over the alternatives is the 10-bit, the log file. It has the no geofencing. It is solid as brick. It's like literally it can handle a lot of wind. I had this bird up in elevation of 9,000 feet. We flew it up there. They were like wind gusts of almost 80 miles per hour in between the wind shears of the rocks and stuff. You could see the drone was taking off a little bit left and right. But based on the footage, you could barely tell because she just twisted herself sideways, and then I could tell on the radar, looking on my map and looking up at the drone, I was like, "Oh, this sucker is flying right now!" But the winds was super strong. It was so strong, I lost one of my hats over there. I brought the drone back, no problem whatsoever. I looked at the footage; it looked like it was maybe like 10 miles per hour winds. You know what I mean? So that Mavic 3 zoom in dangerous. I was spinning around the lighthouse and forgot I was really like 700 feet away. Really lucky I did not hit something. Right? It's really insane how good that Mavic 3 can set off Karens, because that is the one where you can peek into other people's windows, I think. The The no-fly zone on that particular fire was because they were flying over my property to pick up water in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, all right, yeah, so that'll make sense. But the AUTEL Evo 2 Pro still is going to let you fly. Now, if you ever decide to do any of that because of that whole geofencing part and you want to fly in those dangerous areas and stuff, please make sure, because these helicopters and planes, they fly really, really, really low, like really low. Just go over the nearest tree and hover over that, if any. You know what I mean? That's pretty much what I can ask you. Don't fly into some firefighter's freaking plane or helicopter. You're gonna regret it. You know what I mean? Definitely, and you might even kill somebody. So until then, like I said, this is pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'm glad I could hold it, and I'm glad I could get this off my chest. I wanted to talk about this 2-year thing. I'm also working on a video right now, which is a super long-term review, which is the 2-year review on that, which has detailed info on everything, and it's going to come up pretty soon. And just now, I'm gotta mount my marble orbit, which is going to give me better shots for my products when I do videos for you guys. I think I'm getting better over the years, getting better shots on that. So I dropped the unboxing video on that, which is a quick one. My forward-facing camera was broke on that one, so I'm sorry. I only have the over-the-top view, so you can see what's pretty much in the bag. It was a Kickstarter program by Make Art Now, Josh Yo, and I supported him with that. I picked up the Pro Studio kit, which is now, it was 2 years, I think. It took almost 2 years before it reached here. The Kickstarter program was done, so I'm working on that right now, so just to make better content for you guys. Until then, please don't forget, be a nice human, make somebody else smile, and definitely pay it forward. I love you all, everybody. Aloha.